Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back. Apologies. We're 10 minutes late, 11 minutes late. But you know what? I did earn 4 minutes back. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I gave you 4 minutes early. I came in I caught a lot of you napping. So, today I'm just taking those 4 minutes back and also adding 7 minutes to my debt. I hope you guys are all okay, happy and healthy, doing the things you love, those you love to do them with. I'm here with part of the furniture, my man, the main man, colleague from Football Inc. fame, and Johnny H3232, the king of socials. Johnny H, how are you, Johnny?
I'm all right. The sun's shining. What's not to like? It's all hot and sweaty. The transfer window's hotting up. The news is hotting up. Spurs fans are either salivating or protestating and worried that we're not going to spend any money. And you got the levies in, the levies out, everyone chomping at the bit. No one knows what to do.
Good old-fashioned meltdown time.
Yeah, we could find out soon. Listen, we've had the meltdowns. We had the doubt. We had the victory. We had the euphoria. We had the glory. We had it all. Then we had the Ange meltdown when he got sacked. And then we had the Frank meltdown when they said, "Who is this guy? We don't want him. He's not a winner." And then they did a bit of a deep dive and they go, he could be the Messiah. And then he was great again, and then the old. So it's up and down. It's up and down, and then we have the Tel news. Some for, some against. I think what we need is a bit of news.
Well, we've got some news, mate.
Yeah,
we got a really nice little story out today.
All get behind and go great, but there will still be people who will say, "What a load of bollocks."
Mate, we got. Listen, we had a chat backstage, and I hope I'm not going to get anyone in trouble here, but because Johnny and I were sort of having a little bit of a not a disagreement. Of course, we never disagree. Well, we often disagree, but never in any contentious atmosphere.
Careful.
So in January, I was saying to you guys, transfer record, new club's highest earners. Then February came round, then March came round, and then Charrington joined the board. And then you saw the Matt Law articles coming out saying, we've got to sell to buy. We've got to sell to buy. There's no money. It's a terrible shit show. And I don't buy that for a second. I think it's a club pushed message. Then things started happening behind the scenes. And without saying anything, there was noise coming from certain directions behind the scenes that there is things that are percolating. There is money. And I was like, good. But then still the noise was out there. There's still a sell to buy. There's no money. Johnny, there was always money, wasn't there, mate? And then there's other things that are happening where there's more likelihood of money. And then today, guess what happens, mate? BBC Sport come out with an article saying there's substantial funds available to Tottenham Hotspur.
Listen. I said back in March when Charrington came in, there's a sign that money will be available come summer because he's coming in with Vinay. You think Vinay's coming in? Now, here's the project. You could go anywhere in the world. You could go to Saudi Arabia. You could go to America. You could work for the top private equity companies. You can go and work for Newcastle. No, come to Spurs where there's no money and there's nothing happening. Have your 20-year relationship with Arsenal, come to Spurs. No, he's come because he's been sold the dream along with Charrington. I reckon there's inward investment. I said this to you going back, as we said, to March now. We did that dive a few months ago, Sean, when we looked to see that there's money available in different parts of the company.
Well, I mean, we got that guy Levonomics on, who said that we did that on Football Inc., didn't he? And he said
72 million. It was 72.
Oh, so there was the cash in the bank of Tottenham Hotspur. I think he said was 70 or 68, 72, whatever. But in terms of that MCO Insights report, the multi-club management insights company that presents themselves as a consultant for multi-club ownership, he said. And like I say, I'm so busy with a million other things right now. I've got so many projects going on. I've taken my eye off the ball a little bit with regards to the accounts and stuff since those things. I'm not really as dialed in as I usually am. But that Connor said on the other channel on Football Inc. And by the way, guys, smash the granny out of the like button. Make sure you've hit the subscribe on this channel like you always have and always do. But on top of that, The link is pinned into the top of the comments there. Football Inc. We just finished our show over there an hour ago. We're smashing the granny out of the numbers every day. People from all sorts of fan bases are coming over and joining us. We just hit 2K subs for a fledgling channel. If you haven't already and you are interested in all things football, which includes Tottenham, then hit at some point in the show, just hit that link and then it will open up a tab, smash the subscribe, and you won't miss a bean of this content. But
appreciate
both channels. So it's Johnny's obviously a part of the furniture here, but this is his this is my way of working with him, but also making sure that he gets looked after because he's a workhorse for the community. But so Connor said, Johnny, that all of that MCO Insights report was a load of bollocks. Basically, that there was a lot of double printing of the numbers. And like I say, I think he could easily be right. I haven't had a chance to look into it. I just posted the story and said this. I don't know if this is true or not, but it claimed that there was 300 million quid or whatever knocking around in other subsidiaries. I'm pretty sure. I know for a fact. In fact, that there is money that's in other accounts of other subsidiaries, but whether it's as much as that MCO Insights report suggested, regardless of all that stuff, we'll park all those projects to one side. There is truth to the fact, for what it's worth, that 50 million quid of Tottenham Hotspur's money,
the drawdown hasn't been taken.
Has been taken away and put into buying property and things. So there's certainly some dilution. But regardless of all that specifics and the nuance there, the reality is that BBC come out and again basically confirmed what you and I have been saying, that the Matt Law story was a club push load of nonsense, that he got fed the story because he's someone that, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours sort of thing. And that apparently that there's substantial budgets for our summer inquiries. Obviously, no idea what that looks like, but we're going to bring it to your attention and we're going to talk about all the other news today.
Look, what we do know is that Tottenham are limited by the covenants, right? There's only a certain amount they can spend, and if they trigger and break those covenants, then they're in trouble with the bank. So there is a limit to what they can do, but not if they get inward investment. And if they get inward investment, I think basically the covenants aren't going to get broken and we can invest because, look, we've got around about 230 to 250 million of FFP headroom. And I think, what with certain sales coming through, I mean, we got the Tel deal that people think we spent the money on, but we haven't because Bayern Munich owed us the money from the Kane deal. We got the 17 million from Højbjerg, and if we sell Sonny or any other player, we've got money. But I believe, and I've said for months now, I reckon there's money coming into the club. I'm not saying it's a full takeover, but I believe there's an inward investment. I've spoken about it till I'm blue in the face. I was talking about Charrington back in March, and, it became more a flavour of the month when Donna Cullen stood down and then suddenly everyone was talking about it. But I believe we will spend money this season. We've said it, we've spoken about it, and if I'm wrong, but I don't believe so. I've not said it before that we got money to spend, not in any other season have I said it. And in fairness to you, Sean, you said back in January that you believe that this summer Spurs will break their wage structure and they would break their transfer record. And I believe both things to be true. It's who we spend the money on. I think that's the thing. Whether it's a Morgan's Gibb White, whether it's an Eze, whether it's an Mbuemo, a Semenya, or whoever it may be. Personally, I think, a Monster 6 is big money. I think,
Who is the Monster 6? Oh, actually, before we say the who, in fact, I'm sorry, I've just interrupted you. Finish your point and I'm going to come back to the question.
I'm just saying, what's worrying me now is always having the money, but, it's getting the right player. And personally, I trust Don Fabio to get us the right player for the right money.
He's definitely coming back, mate. We haven't heard fuck all about that in a month, have we?
Listen, whether he's back or not, he wasn't back before and he was still involved.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
You know? But
I heard rumours. I didn't hear rumours. I read rumours on a rumour mill that...
more charges?
He's definitely in civil court, but that's just money. That's just some sort of... he'll end up having to settle or whatever. But someone somewhere, I forget when it was, said that, he's like, there's no chance of him going to Milan or Inter or in that shit. But that some teams in Saudi are looking at trying to bring him in. And listen... I mean, this is his home, right? He's like the prodigal son returns. The bad kid who went away. He got a little bit in trouble when he's come back home, and we welcome him with open arms because that's the prodigal son story, right, Johnny?
Can you listen? I don't know, or I don't remember really the fan base taking any massive interest in the director of football until Fabio came in, right? Why was that? Because what we saw was. Game one, he comes in, sits on the bench with Conte, and he's going mental on the bench. Like, hang on, who's that? Who's that guy going, hang on, it's Don Fabio. Don Fabio. Hang on, mate, you're not the manager. There were people that took umbrage to it. Who is this guy? He's not a manager.
Who stole that kind in his absence? Who's the next, like, non-frontline... physical example of someone who's taken
brother-in-law.
Well, no, but not at Tottenham. I'm thinking about the geezer at Arsenal who seems to be more like the set piece guy, right? He's even more in everyone's face on all the camera screens. Like Arteta must be like, mate, do you know why I stand 3 inches inside the touchline, 3 inches inside the pitch? It's because I still want to play. I want to kick every ball, and I want the camera on me. And then you got this set piece coach guy who's like. Doing all this crap and like trying to get the, you know what? There's some egos are going to ego, Johnny boy. Egos are going to ego.
Listen, look, they nicked him off of Brentford and it worked. He was top draw. Although Brentford might not have been as dynamic, they still, I think, the third best set pieces set up in the league. Interesting enough, though. The one player that Spurs didn't manage to bring over was Andrews, who's the guy that ex-footballer. I think he used to work for Sky Sports. He's come in there and he's looking like he could get the job. He's the guy that came up with the idea of overloading the defence in the first few minutes and scoring goals. The first club. In Premier League history to score 3 goals within the first 3 minutes or the first minute or something in 3 games on the trot, looking for that edge. So he looks like he could get the job, but didn't come with us to Spurs. I think the set piece coach that we bought from Man United. Well, let's see Let's see how he gets on because I haven't seen him set the world alight with set pieces for Man U.
Yeah. Yeah, but look, anything's better than nothing. I mean, last
better than what we had.
Yeah, we've done absolutely nothing. Even when Ange's side were getting bullied in the corners at the end of season 1, and we how many goals did we concede? 4 or 5 goals. It was just getting embarrassing. The season after, when that stopped happening. And Ange, first of all, dismissed the relevance of it when it was happening and then claimed that he'd solved it because it wasn't happening anymore. But it wasn't because we had done anything to adjust out. It was just because other teams had just stopped doing that thing, right? And so it was, shamelessness out of Ange's rhetoric wasn't uncommon, was it?
Yeah, are we going to see first day of training, right? All come back from the summer. And Thomas gives his speech, I'm back, I might not be Australian, but give me a chance. I'm a nice guy too. I'm going to mix things up. The first task I want you to do is, right, I want you to go over to that line over there. I want you to pick up a ball. And I want to see who can throw the ball the furthest.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, how many times are we going to throw the ball into the box this season? That we've never done it before, never bothered really before. The odd time,
Do we have a long throw specialist? Perisic was pretty good at long throws, wasn't he, from my memory?
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is this is a manager, the professor, that will look for any minute advantage he can gain. And that will include things like free kicks, set pieces, throw-ins. What we're not going to see, Sean, which I'm so over the moon about, is when we get a free kick 10, 15 yards into the opponent's area, we're not going to see a short pass backwards. We're going to see a...
Oh, wait, mate, fucking hell. Did you see that video? Did you see that video? I'd never seen it. And the person who posted it on Twitter said...
I haven't seen it. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a video that someone put up on Twitter this morning. I didn't like it or anything. I didn't save it, bookmark it. But there's a video where someone goes, wait, this is the first time I've seen this video. This is from the final, right? It was after the Man United player did the overhead kick into the side netting, and it was the last goal kick of the game, right? And Danzo picks the ball up, puts it on his little spot for the 6-yard box, and is looking to take a short goal kick, right? And just before he takes it, Vicario goes fucking mental at him, going, "Oh, what are you doing?" Overly dramatic, like you could have just said,
like he does,
like he does. But the point was, like the guy in the wait, I've just seen this for the first time. Was Danzo actually going to take a short free kick in the 98th minute? Sorry, a short goal kick. Play it out from the back in the 98th minute. Yeah. And obviously, we ended up kicking it long, and then the final whistle went. But like, there needs to be a little bit more. I don't know.
But how many times, guys, in the comments, right? Tell us how many times you watched Spurs in the last 2 seasons where we've had a free kick inside the opponent's half, 10, 15 yards, and you're thinking, right, someone come up, put a diagonal into the box. Give them something to think about. Keep a couple back just in case the break. No. A potsy pass back 2 yards and start again. Yet when the opponents get a free kick in our half, we're all rushing back. They're putting the ball in the box and we're struggling to defend it. It was the most infuriating thing. And I'm telling you, we will not see that this season. I guarantee it. We will be seeing every advantage, right? You're in the box. 15 yards inside our half, the opponent's half, they're going to be a diagonal free kick. Whether it's Porro or whoever, they will be taking that. There'll be none of that passing back shit.
100%, mate. Listen, I want to ask you about your faith in Thomas Frank and what that extends to within backing the manager, what that looks like with regards to transfers. Because the news today, like I say, BBC Sport has said something that we've been saying for a long time, that there is substantial money available. So we need to start playing how to spend it, right? But before we get to that, I was going to do a couple of super chats and memberships and things that I want to say hello to. So Mark Berry, new member of the show. Appreciate you, Mark. Thank you very much, buddy. Looking forward to meeting you on the next fan phone-in show. Thank you for the support, buddy. Appreciate you. Drula is Franca. Member for 1 month. Thank you, Drew. I need a glass of water. I think that's la-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. I need a glass of water. I think that's
Faith Drula, right? You can come back on me. I think we're going to see a lot less passing back when we get that free kick. I just have faith in it. I've seen Brentford play. Unless him and Cochrane change it up big time, that's an advantage. When you got a free kick in that area, you got to utilise every part you get. Passing backwards is nothing.
100%, mate. 100%. But that's what I'm saying. I want to ask you about when it comes to signings in the next. Mathis Tel is the first one we got to talk about. I haven't got your take on Mathis Tel as a permanent signing since it happened. So we're going to get that one. Daniel Field, big up, Daniel. Smash the granny out of that like button, people. Appreciate you, Daniel, mate. Thank you very much for doing that. Yeah, please, guys, there's 760 people here. We've been going about 20 minutes or so. Love to see it. Please do smash the griggity granny out of that like button. Also, make sure you do get into the chat there at the top, the pinned comment, and go over to Football Inc. We just passed 2K. It's our new favourite little thing, Johnny and I. Every day, around 3 o'clock, every day we're doing all transfer stuff. It's so easy to talk about all football because there's never a dull day in the world of football. Thank you very much, Daniel. Big up, Blainsky. How you doing, mate? I'll make an offer Levy can't refuse for the Monster 6. Mini is available for 50 quid a week. Belly rubbed and 3 back. Who's the fuck's Mini? Is that your dog? Must be. Belly rubs and 3 bags of treats. You've seen the mauling she gave that Amazon bag. Oh, yeah, I saw that in the WhatsApp group. Yeah. She'd tear up the league. Big up. Much love, gents and chat. I'd like Minnie to meet Bugsy, mate. I've known they'll be best friends. Mate, thank you so much, Blaine, for your constant generosity, mate. You're an absolute legend, buddy. And yeah, mate, listen, what we're going to do this summer, at some point, we're going to have a Spurs Talk Show meet-up day somewhere in a park somewhere that's as mutually...
That sounds dodgy. That sounds right. We're going to meet up in
yeah, not a dogging park. No, but we are going to bring...
Smash the granny. Smash the granny. Smash the granny is going viral, right? And, you know, there's poor grannies out there locking their doors right now. In fear that Sean is walking the streets with Bugsy looking to smash a granny. It's
Protect the granny out of the like button.
Protect the
granny out of the like button.
Your granny.
Thank you very much, Blaine. You're absolutely legend, mate. So generous, bud. So generous. Thank you so much, mate. Talk and ball. Colin, how you doing, mate? Member for 25 months. Wow, that's a long time, over 2 years. How's it going, pal? Oh, we're good, mate. We're good, buddy. We're going to get you back on the channel very soon, my man. Thank you very much for the ongoing loyalty, buddy. Good to see you. Dobby's dad is saying, loving you're on Spotify. Handy to download and listen to at work. Really appreciate that, Dobby's dad. Great reminder, guys. If you are someone that likes to listen to this content or watch it, by the way, because I upload on Spotify, at least I upload it into the video formats. The other channels get syndicated into various things, and that's audio. But if you are interested, then I am trying to grow the Spotify and the Apples and all that stuff. So all of this content is also available. It's live here. Within an hour of being off of here, it's going to be on Spotify. So and then Apple Podcasts.
In the chat, just because there's 700 of you here.
850 now.
850. Could you do ones and zeros in a poll? How many of you listen to audio like podcasts more than you do YouTube? Just out of curiosity, not Sean's channel, but in general, do you listen to podcasts?
A big deal for you. Yeah.
Than you do YouTube. It's just because Sean's looking to grow channel. We've got this one and Football Inc. And I was saying to Sean that I think, you know, a lot of people, when they're out going to work in the morning or, you know, walking the dog or whatever you're doing.
Smashing the granny, whatever.
A lot of people, smashing the granny. A lot of people like to listen, whether it's either on Apple or on Spotify. We're not on the Apple yet, but we're going to make sure it goes on there.
Whilst I'm saying that, by the way, the Football Inc. podcast is already up on Spotify as well. I just don't have an Apple account because
I've got to get that on there. Got to get that on.
But yeah, so you can find Football Inc. on the podcast as well. But yeah, let us know if you do actually engage in podcast content. It's interesting to know. And Nathan McCreary, my man from America, who was in the previous show. Thanks, mate. Become a new YouTube member. Really appreciate you, mate. Thank you very much, buddy.
See you, Nathan. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Right, Johnny, here's the question for you, mate. Mathis Tel. Now, the argument is that this was a done deal in January. It was always going to happen. All that it required was Mathis Tel to say he wanted to stay, and then the negotiation on the price, which it looks like has happened. It looks like they said it's 35 million euros, so about 28 million quid plus the 10 million euros, 8 million quid. So it's about 36 million pound deal or something like that, 38 million pound deal all in for Mathis Tel. Thomas Frank, first and foremost, are you one of the people, because you know you're a Francophile, should we call it? This one might not necessarily be his decision because it was already done. But generally speaking, if Thomas Frank is okay with a trade, with a player, is he okay? Are you okay with it regardless of who it is? Or are you going to sit there and say, I don't agree with that one, but you know what? If the manager wants him, so be it. What's your general vibe on that?
Right, so I don't think there's any doubt that I believe that Mathis Tel will be a good player. My only thought on the thing is he a player that we need now for the money? Now, like I said to you before, if we have money and we're going to spend money, and I believe that we were going to have money, I'm okay with us spending the money on Tel because we're not really spending the money on Tel because Bayern Munich owe us, amortise, be paying it off for it for X amount of years, for Harry Kane, 4 or 5 years. So it's not really, we're not laying out any money. We could probably work it out on the books. So I don't have a problem with it. What I noticed is, though, the ones who are massively in favour are quoting the fee as 29 million. And those who are against are putting the real fee in, which is 29 million plus the loan, plus the top up, because there's a 5 million add-on. There's 29 million plus the 5 plus the 7.2 million loan plus the wages, obviously. So it's more than the 29 million. One thing I said to you about Thomas Frank knows everything about every player he plays at in the Premier League. He has like a dossier, right? That's why they call him the professor. He knows about each of the players. Unlike Ange, I don't want to go into slagging Ange, but what I'm saying is, unlike Ange, who's only bothered about his own team, we will play our way, let them work out how to do us. Thomas Frank works every individual to an inch of his life, right? I mean, you saw that little clip about after they played Brentford. He went through the whole players, Pedro Porro, Trent Arnold, even mentioned Mikey Moore. He knows everything about each of the players. And he would have done a deep dive and had a basic on Mathis Tel. So I for me, he would have seen, look, this is what I can do with him. Remember how raw Brian Mbeumo was? Now, I liked Mbeumo about two seasons ago. And I was talking to my friend about Mbeumo, and I said, I really like him. He said, yeah, he's brilliant. But the problem is with him, he needs to work on his finishing. And boy, has he worked on it. Him and Thomas Frank have worked and worked and worked to a point now. He's like a finely tuned machine. Not only did he score the 20 goals and all the assists, his assist is under because the Brentford, Vista and the rest haven't been converting the chances. What he's going to create at a better team is going to be phenomenal. So I look at that and think to myself, he's going to take Mathis Tel, and I don't think he'll be playing as wide as he did under Ange.
He won't be. Yeah.
No, he'll play more like an inside forward, probably. And I think he can see exactly what he can do with him. I mean, don't forget Tel's take-ons were very impressive. In Germany last season, not so much this season, but I think with the confidence, he's going to cause a lot of trouble. And I think he will teach him where he wants him to run, because it's not just about the pace and taking players on. It's using your brain and intelligence of where to go, where to run. And we know that Thomas Frank likes to overload on the flanks in triangles. And I think with him, it's going to be a good signing. It's going to be a good signing. But do you think any more? Just to finish, just quickly, how many more wingers can we have, Sean?
No, we can't have any more. Well, we got to sell 5 or 6 of them, which is a brilliant segue, mate. Because I put out a tweet yesterday. I know, like I said, I know we're not. I'm not going to bring up the context of the post because it got sidetracked a little bit by political bollocks. But I did put out that tweet, and I said, Johnny and I don't always see eye to eye on this particular. We're on opposite sides of the. Let me get the screen. Let me get the screen up. There's another story out, by the way, which has come out in the last few minutes, which is going to be interesting regarding Vicario that we need to get, because Graham Bailey, because the TBR, like the boot room is considered an aggregator that is in the same wheelhouse as the shitty ones, but it shouldn't be. If the articles are written by Graham Bailey, he's got more. He should get more credit than the name suggests. And the story come out now from him saying that Vicario is high on the priority list. We saw that story earlier in its infancy. It's now got an entire article out. We're going to talk about that in a second, mate. But before I do, let's just run with what you're just talking about there, and let's talk about this. So you mentioned how many wingers. Hang on, I'll get rid of this fucking thing. How do I get rid of that? Here we go.
9 or 10. I'm trying to remember.
We've got 10 wingers, right? So the wingers we've got Sonny, we've got Tel, we've got Richie, we've got Yang and Solomon and more. 6 left wingers. Then we've got Odebear, Decky, Johnson, and a JA as right wingers. A couple of those left wingers can play right. Maybe a couple of those right can play on the left. But so now we know Mathis Tel is here. And then there's this clamour for Manor Solomon of, again, you're one of them, right? You really want to see this guy back. Thomas Frank said he wants to see him back, or at least that's the article, that story that's coming out. And I put the poll out saying that me and Johnny are opposite sides of the spectrum. I just think we sell him. Right? So if you get 20 million for him, put it towards the budget, sell Romero if you have to, sell Sonny, sell yada, 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 go and get a budget, plus the money we've got that's substantial, apparently. And then we can go, and we haven't got to be so picky and choosy. We can just smash other teams out of the water if we, for whatever we want. And we'll talk about that in the second half of the show. But on this particular poll, I think it's on the screen, is it? Yeah. So I asked the question, where does everyone stand? 822 votes from whoever is on Twitter. I gave the 4 options. Bring him in, he's a baller, 4%. See him pre-season, 28.1%, so 32% in total. I said it's a championship level, we sell him, was 52%, but then a reluctant sell to fund. So you could almost put reluctant sell to fund in the see him pre-season and the bring him in. Like these things are like positive on the player. And this one here is kind of like negative on the player generally for what we need. And it's still like, you can make the argument it's 48% towards like the player, but you know what, we need better. And this one here is just saying he's not good enough. So 52% to 48%.
Can I just say, Sean, right? For me, there is absolutely nothing to lose, zero to lose, to bring him back, let Frank have a look at him, and let him decide. And if he decides to get rid of him, I've got no problem with it. But if Thomas Frank comes in and says he's going to fit my system that I have in mind, then if we're behind the manager and we believe in like what he's trying to do, then great. But the dilemma still is, how many more defenders can you have? Listen, Mikey Moore, everyone in the Championship wants him. Okay, so the dilemma here is, does he come in and becomes part of the Champions League squad to become part of the homegrown players, club trained, should I say, along with Jamie Donnelly, or does the player, Mikey Moore?
Oh, it's about Mikey Moore. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Mikey Moore or Donnelly, right? Mikey Moore, right?
Okay.
Or does he think about his career and game time and go to, West Brom under Mason, or go to Birmingham under Davis? I mean, he could go anywhere he wants, Mikey Moore, because I think just about every club in the Championship's made an inquiry for him. Mm-hmm. The thing is, it's the balance. He wants to prove himself at Spurs, but at the same time, when a club, whatever Thomas Frank, I might think about Thomas Frank, there will be a certain amount of pressure if you've committed 40-odd million pounds for Mathis Tel, that however good Mikey Moore might be or might have the potential, he's never going to start ahead of Mathis Tel unless he's injured. That's my call. Right.
But let me ask you this, though. So, as I said, we've got 10 wingers at the moment.
Yeah.
Mathis Tel is in the team, right? He's not going on loan. He's going to be in the squad.
Correct.
Yang, what are we saying?
No.
Loan for sure, yeah?
Definitely not ready, yeah.
Okay, definite loan. Mikey Moore was saying definite, or let's put him on the loan list, just for argument's sake, right?
Loan or or club trained for the squad.
Okay, so loan or keep, but not necessarily a first team starter every week. Odebear, he's not going anywhere, is he? He's going to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 2. Decky's not going anywhere. He's injured anyway. He won't necessarily be a part of the squad, but he's going to be a part of. But he's not going anywhere.
He can't.
Sonny, we've got to get this number down. We've got to get this number in terms of like first team players down to 4 or 5, right?
Sonny for me has to go for various reasons.
100%, he has to go.
He has to go because even if we only get 30 million for him, again, 30 million for him, 17 million for Højbjerg, that's 47 million pounds towards whether it's an Abuemo, an Eze, or whoever it may be, or a Monster 6. He has to go.
Sorry, by the way, I completely forgot. There's not 10, there's 11. Brian Hill.
No, Brian, forget Hill. Hill's injured, mate. I mean, yeah.
Is he going to go? Is he going to go?
No, someone will offer...
5 million quid for him or something?
No,
right?
someone offers, like 8 pieces of chicken and a drink.
We've already, as long as they're not chicken wings, mate.
He's got chicken legs. He's got chicken legs. I used to think. Remember when he was in hospital? He had that little moustache, right? And he was in hospital. And I did this joke when he says, Brian Hill's gone into hospital to have his moustache removed because it was affecting his game, right? Because I couldn't think what else he was in there for. Listen, he's very fragile. I mean, he couldn't even make. He did actually have. He was actually playing, playing quite well. Listen, Chris, I understand he brings in money, but
takes up a spot, mate. We have got so few spots in this squad for wingers. We've got too many. We're all trying to bring in an Eze. We're trying to bring in, I don't know, we're going to talk about it in the second half of the show. Jack Grealish, Mbumo, Semenyo, Tyler Dibbling. Fucking, there's so many wingers that we are looking at, so many, but we already have 11 on our books, mate. Sonny can't possibly want to be a part of a new revolution at Tottenham at 33 years old. It's 32, nearly 33.
That Korean 33, because they changed the age.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember whether they added a year or took a year off. So he might be 32, but actually 33, or he's 33 and he's actually 32. If someone could let us know,
I don't know
how many ages.
But come on now. In fact, you know what? It's time for a poll. It's time for a poll. We have a poll here. But let me ask you this, mate. So Mathis Tel. I'll do the poll in a second. You're on board the signing, right? You're on board it because you think it'll be repurposed into like an inside forward rather than a winger. And then, on that basis, we should see. And I'm on board it as well. I think it will happen. I think he'll become a great.
Turn him into a bueno. If you want my honest opinion, don't make me say Ekiteti. It will be all right,
mate. It's a bit Eki Takey.
Eki Takey.
There you go. That's it.
Eki Takey.
Poll time. It's poll time. Let's get the poll tax out. What am I doing here? How do I get the poll tax?
49. What's 49? I forgot the numbers now.
Hang on. What's going on here? Why's my computer being screwed? Here we go. Let's get the poll going. Is it time to say goodbye? Let me end this poll. What do we get? So I asked the first poll before the show started. Would you take either Garnacho or Rashford at Tottenham?
Ekitike. No, they're saying.
Sorry, Ekitike. Sorry, I didn't sound right. Ekitike. Ekitike. That's it.
Ekitike. And then we got Nathan saying it's Ekitike.
Even I screwed it up. For crying out loud, Butler.
Has anyone got his number? We need to put this to bed once and for all.
I asked the poll earlier. Are you happy to sign? Would you take either Garnacho or Rashford at Tottenham? 70% said no, not interested. But now we go. Is it time?
Why is it time? Because he's exactly what Frank said. A dickhead. Yeah.
Is it time to sell something?
No dickheads at Spurs, and that's what Garnacho is.
Do you know what though, mate? And I don't disagree with you, but if we're going to be leaning into this notion of let the manager figure it out, under Ange Postecoglou, Ange said, well, the first question I'm going to ask a player is, why do you want to come to Tottenham? I don't want people that don't want to be here, yada, yada, yada. If Thomas Frank has a conversation that's similar with Garnacho and he gets the answers that he wants, would you be on board the transfer?
Yeah.
If Thomas Frank is, based on the notion that, as I said to you, I think yesterday or the day before, I've used the Y Scout tool looking for wingers and sort of what I believe we're looking for in an inside forward. And I put 50 different variables in and I dialed them all up. It didn't matter what iteration I used, mate. I was dialing some up, dialing some back. And I went from 800,000 players down to 5. And in every different iteration of what I was looking for, that fucking Argentinian kid came up in every single one. I was like, I can't get rid of this guy. I can't get rid of him without getting rid of 3 others. He was always in that 5.
For me, right? He reminds me a bit of a wild Aaron Lennon, right? He's so unpredictable. He's little. I think Thomas Frank calls him in and says, look, Garnacho, right? First thing is get rid of the blonde hair, right? Okay. You're not Swedish. I'm Scandinavian, mate. You're
It's not 1993.
Yeah, it's not 19. I don't want to come in and see like a Mohican. I don't want to see that shit, right?
Yeah.
You're a footballer. You ain't not in a boy band. Look, the thing is, I don't think Man United will want to sell to. How you doing, Jay?
Always.
Oh, you just put yourself on mute immediately.
I was gonna say that's the most sense I'm gonna make all day. But yeah, I'm good. Good to see you, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Apologies on the tardiness. I want to blame like I was doing work, but like it's like 50% work, 50% procrastinating, thinking you're doing work, and then I looked at the time and I said, "Listen, nowhere I'd rather be." Well, I mean.
You've got a table tennis table in the background of your office somewhere, haven't you? You've been going over there.
Not even. It's still looking cute. Still looking cute. There's no one here. Like I just.
Oh, nice, mate. Is that your office? Is it? Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Oh, we lost him.
Oh,
he was here.
Jay, mate, for an office, your Wi-Fi shit.
I don't know if you can hear us. He'll come back in a second, I think. Hopefully.
Wi-Fi needs a reboot.
Oh.
I thought so. I kicked it out. Don't even ask how we got.
He's obviously got the 1986 Wi-Fi wind-up
Wi-Fi. You want to know is it's like I use like USB-C in it. I use the same cable for my phone and my laptop. So know me, I'm a little bit of a gobshite. So I'm on 7% battery. So I'm constantly like switching it between it. So it's like either my phone doesn't work or my internet doesn't work. So you've got me now. So what is on the menu today, gentlemen? What are we discussing?
All right. So the news broke not news broke, but like BBC Sport came out with an article saying that Tottenham have got, because of a bunch of different factors, maybe the internal investments, like we're not sure of it, but either way, the quote is substantial budgets are available for Tottenham. And are you still there?
I just didn't move. I just didn't move for a second. Like my internet isn't that bad, gentlemen. I was like,
you're right. I was like, he's frozen in like shock horror.
I was like, Sean's making some good points. You're like, Jay, you still there?
Yeah, he's still there. So yes, substantial budgets are available, and then we're sort of figuring out what that looks like. But in terms of like Tottenham's balance of the squad, at the moment we've got about 400 goalkeepers, and we have about 1,100 wingers. And in order to make some of this space, we're trying to figure out who's leaving. Mm-hmm. And we started talking about Sonny. Is he, does he have to go to make room? Now you've got Mathis Tel. And what about Solomon? What's the story, mate? What's your thoughts?
Okay, so first and foremost, I think I always kind of dislike when a new manager comes in because above all, the manager should be given the opportunity to examine the squad and make his own decisions. 100%. And the problem is that fans don't like that. And I get why fans don't like that, because we've had X amount of years of watching certain players and we have our own perception of whether or not this player is good enough. But on the flip side, the manager is going to want to evolve the team. And a big part of why we appoint Thomas Frank is also that they expect him to be able to get a lot more out of the current players. Like whenever a manager is sacked, the base underlying for me is, hey, you should be doing more with the squad that you've got. That is a key reason why we're sacking you. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that stands to reason that you're going to want to see how the manager is able to effectively cope with these players. With that being said, we have a lot of wingers. We do have a lot of wingers, but how many of them are of the level where you're saying, my biggest issue with Spurs is we lack needle movers. We lack needle movers. Like you go to Newcastle, you see someone like Isak, you see Bruno Guimaraes, and then you'll see people like Gordon, Harvey Barnes. Like so, Harvey, they're contributing, good amounts, but they've still got their talisman. They've got their Isak. Do you know what I mean? So we lack needle movers. And I think with that being said, a number of the squad can go. If you look at it from the other side of who in this squad must we retain next season, you're probably looking at the first choice defense, a few attackers, but other than that, I'd say maybe like 7, 8, 9 members of this squad maybe the starting 11 must stay. Other than that, as long as you're getting a good fee and you're reinvesting the money into somebody else or a different player, I'm not too committed to anybody. I think there's.
What about the Vicario rumours, Jay?
I think that our fan base is nuts, and I think that whenever you're watching a goalkeeper, this is the thing.
I can't believe what you're saying, Jay.
Nah, this is the thing. Like, listen, there's whether or not it's like Solomon's an interesting one for me, and I'll speak on Solomon really briefly. I'll try and be as politically correct and polite on this. Okay, so with Solomon, I wholeheartedly disagree with some of the comments that he's made. However, I will say that Solomon has skin in the game more so than most people, as in 100%. He is Israeli and he's involved in a war. So straight away, like it's like me as an outsider seeing what he's going, I'm like, am I really the guy to be telling him he can't be saying what he's saying, considering he's got skin in the game and I don't? Yeah. Look at the behavior of the British government. Look at the behavior of the US government. All of these countries are supporting Israel to an extent. So you can't then go at Solomon to a crazy degree when numerous governments are complicit in the actions that you're saying are unacceptable. Further that, when I look at certain posts by the Jerusalem Post and yada yada, listen, they're biased, but the BBC's biased. All of these things are biased. So if you're reading that on a daily basis, you might be somewhat indoctrinated, or you might have a certain POV which is fundamentally different to my POV because I'm reading different kinds of news to you. So taking all of that into account, I'll say he shouldn't have said what he said, and it's a very it's not good, and it's difficult for me to defend the words he said. However, I revert back to my skin in the game comment. I revert back to my indoctrination of what the media says, and I revert back to the whole perception of other governments supporting what Israel are doing, to the extent of why are you now holding this one person more accountable than you're holding the British government? I don't understand. So when I take all of that, I'm like, all right, cool. If he comes back, he comes back. I'm not going to be like, no, you can't come back, this and that, yada, yada, for the exact reasons I explained before. So hopefully that explains why I'm fine with that. If you want to say, hey, he's not good enough to play for us and this and that, or argue with the logic that I just told you, that's fine. But that logic is pretty fundamentally sound, and it's served me reasonably well.
Can I just ask you, do you think the fact that, the narrative is because of where he comes from, when you say he scored 10 goals and 12 assists and he got a 71% success rate, the highest in Leeds history, people just say, well, it was the championship. He's dog shot.
I feel there's some, like, from my point of view, again, listen, everyone's going to have opinions on this, yeah?
Oh, no, 100%.
And if you're going to say, like, hey, like, I don't think he's good enough to play for Spurs, period.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a different.
That's
point
my
of
take.
view.
That's my take.
That's fine.
I'm completely apolitical, Johnny. As you know, mate. Like I've had these conversations with you. Again, I don't want to take this show down a political path because it's going to just create mayhem. But Johnny, I've spoken to you and I spoke to Luba about this stuff. I'm with Jay. I don't have a dog in the fight, so I'm not invested in the outcome, right? Like some people are.
Yeah.
My take on Manor Solomon is twofold. One is like we are judging Johnny. I think you're when you say he scored 11 goals and 19, whatever it was, 9 assists. Like that was at a championship level. I don't care about the politics. Put that to one side.
I don't care if he came from Kazakhstan.
I couldn't give a shit. Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that you can look at a guy who in the Premier League, as a Tottenham player, got 2 assists, and it was against a championship team that had come up and went straight back down again. And the rest of his sample size of output that is admirable is at a championship level. And the fact that the 3 teams that go up every year are the same 3 teams that go down, I think that you can sort of take that
and I think it's funny because if you think about his best performance for Spurs was probably against Burnley, who are a championship side.
That's what I mean. That's what I said. Yeah.
Now, this is not to say that he wasn't.
He got injured.
That's what I'm saying. We got him, and he was, like, he's definitely in my opinion, he's definitely good enough to be like a rotation player for a decent Premier League club. Like that to me is like, I don't think that it's crazy.
But the other thing though, Jay, the other consideration though, mate, just quickly is, so there's one thing is like, well, are we like the sample size of him being good with his output is at championship level. As a Tottenham player, it was against a championship team. So like that needs to be factored in. The second factor is we have 11 fucking wingers. He is one of them. If we want to bring in Mbeumo, Semenyo, Jack Grealish, whoever, insert the fucking name here that there's 15 of them every day, we have to sell or loan out or get rid of at least half of the wingers that we have to make room for anyone more. And so when those are the two, nothing to do with his politics. I haven't got a dog in the fight. And I completely agree with you, Jay, that when people do have a dog in the fight, you should be able to empathize with their
I mean, I'll still say the comments are like, you know, you're a professional and you're in the media eye, and you understand that a lot of our fan base, you know, some are Muslim, and they're going to categorically disagree and think that it's a terrible 100%. Thing you said. And they are absolutely deserving to say that. And it's not a case of me defending Solomon. It's a case of me saying that when I look at things from an overall point of view, there's a lot of politicians, there's a lot of countries that are participating in behavior that you think is unacceptable, but I never see you hold the decision makers to task. You're holding somebody individually who in that. So again, you know, I don't want to take it too politically, but it's like, I think that if you don't think he's a good enough player, let's keep it to the football. And I think
most people do, right? As far as I can tell.
Unfortunately, they don't, Sean. You do, but unfortunately,
I on social media, I've seen a lot of comments about him, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to mention it. And it's not for me to advocate that he doesn't deserve some of those comments. It's just the energy level that you have for that person. You're not exhibiting it. It seems like faux outrage, and I'm not saying that you're not genuinely outraged. I'm just saying that I've never seen you present that level of outrage to the government who is sending ammunition and this and that. It's just, I don't know if you actually feel it or you just want to be seen to be offended.
But it's easier to attack someone that's more accessible, isn't it? The government's very inaccessible.
Of course, like, absolutely.
The amount of shit that I get for being a quote unquote Levy ball licker or whatever, like Daniel Levy is more inaccessible than I am, right? So, a Levy liar, right? But I'd rather keep it just on the player.
Yeah, okay. Is the player good enough? Is the player good enough to be?
I don't think he is. No.
Right. So for me, right, you know, I if I see another genocide quote, just genocide, I've had to say to people, shut the fuck up. Right, let's just keep it to football.
Yeah, sure.
Right? For me, right, Manor Solomon has a low centre of gravity. He's brave. He takes players on. He wins free kicks. He scores goals from outside the box. What we had last season was wingers that didn't take players on. Right, Brennan Johnson didn't take players on. He wasn't brave. I think we can all agree that. All I'm saying is, for me, Manor Solomon, at least Thomas Frank will come in and make Johnson brave, because if he isn't brave and he doesn't take players on, he won't be starting, because Mbeumo constantly takes players on, and he will encourage Mathis Tel to do that.
So who do you sell? Johnny, I'm saying...
Yeah, we don't have the squad space in it, Sean. We don't really have the squad space.
That's the thing for me. It's like, if you want to bring Mbeumo in, right? Yeah. Are you making the advocate? Are we advocating here, Johnny? Are you, as someone who rates, or you at least want to see Solomon get a chance?
Listen, I'm not saying.
Let me frame the question. Let me frame the question, Johnny. Let me frame the question. I think that the pre-season, I don't know what the fuck anyone can gather from pre-season, because it's a fitness test. That's it. For me, I'm saying that if you are advocating for Manor Solomon to come back, and we want Tottenham to go and sign an Mbeumo or a Semenyo or whoever, just one, Eze, whoever, then you have to tell me 6 players that should leave that current roster of wingers ahead of Solomon. And I don't know who they are.
Listen, that's for Thomas Frank to sort out. But to say that all pre-season is a fitness test is not the case. It's not the case. It's about understanding, watching the manager and the coaching staff, Cochrane and him and his other staff, watching, seeing how on board.
What level of competition can you gather? Like,
Oh,
I
listen,
would make the
hang on a
argument that the
second,
Championship
Sean.
is more competitive than Tottenham against Bayern
Sean,
Munich in the pre-season.
Sean, right? Okay, we've got a more competitive pre-season than the flipping Pirates, the Pirates in Singapore, and the other dog shit that we've been playing in recent years. We've got Newcastle, we've got Arsenal, we got Bayern Munich, and then we got PSG in the Super Cup, right? That's not playing anybody. My point here is whether you're Manor Solomon, whether you're Bissouma, or whether you're Ben Davis, right? Everyone needs to be given a chance, right? And if Thomas Frank turns around and he says Manor Solomon must go, then Manor Solomon goes. It's not for you or for me or for anyone to decide. It's for him to decide.
Of course.
And if he suits his game plan and how he likes to play, if you think that he hasn't seen Manor Solomon play and doesn't know anything about his game plan, you're all wrong. He will know exactly.
My point is, mate, is that where do you fit them into? Like, if you think that Solomon has a genuine shot,
why do we keep saying Solomon? It's all of them. It's all of them, Sean.
This is the question I'm asking. So, who of the 11 wingers that we currently have, if we're going to bring in an Eze or a Semenyo or insert whoever here, who are going to make room?
So you got rid of Solomon. Now, who are you getting rid of?
If we what? Sorry.
All right, you get rid of Solomon, right? So that's gone, right?
So I think a JA goes on loan. I think Son goes. I think that Yang goes. I think that Mikey Moore should go. I think Decky's injured, so it doesn't matter. I think a JA, and I think that Richie should be sold and Solomon should be sold. And then there's space in the squad to bring in an Eze, a Semenyo, and a striker.
And how much? So we're going to get 20 million for 25 million for 30 million maybe for Richie. And we all know how much you're going to have to pay for a top striker. We know right now.
Substantial budgets, apparently, Johnny.
And I'm just saying, Sean, but we had a whole show just now where we say who's going to make the first move and risk overpaying for a striker. Because right now, 135 million euros for Florian Wirtz, right? Right now, everyone's posturing, apart from Liam Delap, who's got an unbelievable 30 million buyout fee, and Jonathan David, who's a free plus the the 10 million agents fee and the 15 million pound signing on fee. Everyone else is looking like they're 75 million plus. And some of these teams are going to pretend like, well, we don't want to sell. And it's who's going to push the price up. Mbuemo, for example, right? Spurs are making a bid. Whether it's rejected or not, they're trying to push Man United to go higher. Okay? Will Brentford sell? They're not going to sell for 55 million or 60 million. They're going to make Man United, or Spurs will make Man United pay 70 million. So therefore, you'll set a benchmark that why should Sesko, why should Gyökeres, why should Victor Osimhen be any less than 70 million pounds? Yeah. So the thing is here, right? We're getting rid of players. I'm all for getting rid of anyone if we're getting in and we're improving the squad fundamentally, depth. Because I think we can all agree that the squad we currently have, Jay, is nowhere near good enough to compete in the Champions League and the Premier League. Nowhere near.
Well, I think that you make a lot of good points, but I think that's why you got to be somewhat ruthless. Like coming into this season, I don't think we were as ruthless as we could have been, requiring in terms of when we're looking at the team that Ange wanted. It was one of the biggest disappointments I had. Because I remembered Arsenal when they finished 5th and they got Zinchenko and Jesus. I remember using that as kind of like a barometer of saying you can bring 2 people into the first team and the team can dramatically improve. Now, technically, I think we tried to do that with Odegaard and Solanke, but with Odegaard getting injured early for a long period of time, we negated that profile, and that actually affected us quite a lot more than I think people anticipated. I think if we're looking at the team, you've got to look at how can we improve the first team and make first teamers into bench players. and how can we liberate some of the space in the squad to allow maybe some of the younger players to play. I expect to see more of like a Tyrese Hall this season than we saw under Ange. I don't really know what happened there, but he was one of my favorite youngsters, and he didn't really do much last season. But I think we gotta look at who's able to be a serviceable player, who's able to be a quality needle mover in the team. And for me, a lot of last season, the law of margins. We lost a lot of games by 1 goal. Incremental improvements. You look at positioning on set pieces. You look at throw-ins. You look at increasing the base level of players. So it's a difficult one for me to understand how many of these players can be materially improved by Frank and should be given a chance versus getting them out the door, get a decent fee, and bring players in. I think, with Gabonini, we were buying players like your Van der Ven, like good priced players from like international Destiny as well. We were buying those. I feel like under Lang, we have 2 kind of approaches. One is kind of Prem proven, and the other is youngster that has potential to be excellent. That seems to be the way Johan Lang wants to go about it. So taking that into account, Prem players are expensive. Do you know what I mean?
But, I mean, Jay, other than Berghvall, Lang's talent ID is not exactly difficult to.
I don't. Yeah,
I think even call it talent ID, mate. I don't even call it talent ID.
It's one of those things that's like, honestly, if you told me a year ago that we would spend 130 million on Semenyo and Solanke, I would probably have told you you're not a serious person. Yeah. So I think to me it's really interesting. I like Semenyo. I think he's a good player. When you're buying these kind of players, you remember Liverpool with Jota. I remember when they bought him, it was a little pricey. It's difficult because on the one hand, people can say, I do think wingers and attackers are very tricky to buy in terms of like when you profile players, like the scalability of a winger is probably one of the hardest positions to work out whether or not it's going to work. This, like, you can see even Chelsea. Look at how much money Chelsea has spent on wingers, project wingers, established wingers.
They're going after more today, mate. They're going after Kudos now, Jay, as well.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I understand that if Semenyo is what, 25? Is it 25? 20?
Semenyo? No, he's 22, isn't he?
No, he's not.
Nah, 24?
25, 26, mate.
25, you're right.
25, yeah. Okay, so it's 25. So if you're going to spend like 65 million on a winger that you think, I call him like little, like corner shop Leao. Do you know what I mean? I think he's got like a lot
corner
of
shop who?
Leao. So like, it's like,
and you're getting no return on any of those. No return on
Leao from Wish.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Jay, it's about Leao. Yeah, listen, it's all about, look, whatever we bid, it's all about the wage, okay? You can go and bid 55, 60, 70 million. Like, you want to buy Eze 65 million. There's no point buying him for 65 million and offering him 130 grand a week. You got to be offering him 200 grand a week. When we are paying Timo Werner 170 grand a week for 2 years, we should not.
Well, that's another reason, mate, why we can expect. Fucking club transfer record is going to happen this summer.
Yeah,
and a club's new highest earner is going to happen this summer.
Has to
happen. But I want to ask you this question, guys. I want to get you, both of you, on the record here. We're talking a lot about players that may or may not come in. How about a player that, in my opinion, can fuck off? Romero. I want to get your take on Romero. Ooh. I want to get your take on his comments,
okay,
on his.
So listen, on Romero, right? So I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, my head was on Mars when Romero did that. Like, because I was like what people don't understand about me, and if you listen to me, I'm club first, yeah? And it's like I don't like you guys. I don't distinguish Levy from the club. It's one and the same. Like, it's just the club Do you know what I mean? So I like to defend the club when the
Same.
club does stuff, because it's not like I don't hate Levy more than I love Tottenham, which I get. You know, he has a lot of stuff that he needs to be called out for from times, but the club. And with Romero making that comment, right?
Not for the first time.
I didn't mind the comment. I don't mind. Not like, listen, anything that puts the ownership under pressure to do the right thing or spend money, no issue. Please, more of the same. The timing stunk. Absolutely stunk. Yeah, and it was giving immature vibes. It was like you could have dropped this same message, 2 days ago, and you would have had a lot of people on your side. There's nobody who wouldn't have been on your side if you dropped that message 2 days earlier. Now, the timing on top of Thomas Frank's announcement, I don't see how you could justify that as anything other than attention seeking. And to me, it was a little immature. I understand the rationale for the comment. You sat on it all week. You dropped it 10 minutes after the new manager's been announced. It's giving petty. I'm not on board with that. I'm not disagreeing with the stuff that you wrote. I'm not saying that some of it's not true, even though I disagree a little bit of the comments, but I'm saying cool, no issue. Timing, not for me. I think it's, especially as a captain, gave it very petulant, not for me. Understand why he feels that way, cool. Understand he had a good connection with the manager, cool. Timing to shit all over the new manager, not for me. Can't co-sign it. I think I can't really agree with it at all.
Johnny?
Whoever wrote it, wasn't him, was poorly advised. Terrible timing. Don't agree with any of it. But in my opinion, Genius is flawed. Sell him to Saudi. I mean, really, if you think Cuti Romero is ever going to Saudi Arabia, if you think that's how he views himself, you're very much mistaken.
You're right there, Johnny. You got a smoker's cough, mate.
No smoker's cough, mate. Just the cough. I think for me, as I said, Genius is flawed, and he is a guy who plays on the edge and wants to win at all costs. And I think he's looked at the club. He's been made promises about ambition, and he doesn't see that ambition and the promises that have been made to him being fulfilled. Excuse me. And it was a poor decision. I really think it was a poor decision. But I would not be selling him.
No,
he's a winner. He's a winner.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. When the chips are down, if I'm going to war and I'm going to battle in a big game, he's the first one that's on my list to go into battle with, because he's a leader, he's a fighter, he's a warrior.
That's fair.
And that's what I'm. That's,
do you give him the captain's armband? If Sonny leaves, do you give him the captain's armband?
100%. And I tell him, if I'm Daniel Levy, I tell him, you asked me for ambition. I've never shown you ambition because I've never really backed a manager. This summer, we're going to actually spend the money. We're going to give you the players that you want, and we're going to show you what we're about, and we're going to make you captain.
How's he never backed the manager, mate?
I'm just saying.
He spent 400 million on the Australian bozo.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, I still don't think we bought top players, mate. I don't believe we bought top players.
Well, maybe 400 million just isn't 400 million anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
I just don't think his talent ID, when you look at most of his squad and the base of his squad and the formation of his team, is still basically Fabio's. It's still basically Fabio's, Don Fabio's team. On the whole, the crux of that, defense.
I don't understand when Romero says things like the way. First of all, he never says it. If he's a warrior and a battler and all that shit, right? Then if you're someone that kind of lives by the sword, dies by the sword, then don't leave things up to people's interpretation. Say what you mean. I don't agree that you should say it in public. I think it's disgraceful. I think you're biting the hand that feeds you, and I think you need to remember which side of the bread is buttered here. But if you're going to do it, don't leave it up to interpretation. Just say it. But he doesn't. He didn't call out the Tottenham Medical Board directly. Indirectly, he did by saying, "I want to give credit to the Argentinian medical team who got me better."
He was fucking right.
He called out he said the obstacles that exist at this club and always do. He also said the same. So I forget what the specifics were. I can't for the life of me remember what it was. But it wasn't the first time. There was a third version of him having a crack in an interview. He took the interview as well to twerk for the Spanish league on our own training ground. That to me is a guy that thinks he is above this football club and that he doesn't see himself as anything more than just this is a stepping stone for him, which is fine, absolutely fine, except he has a 50% appearance ratio or 52%, right? If you're that fucking important, if you're that special, when you could have been here for games when there was a proximity to the Argentinian World Cup. I don't agree with his behavior. I don't agree with his pedestal that he puts himself on. And for what it's worth, I actually think that the footballing world agrees with me, because if he is so fucking desperate for a move and he really thinks that he's a world-class top 3 or 5 player in the world, when you look at Newcastle that are desperate for a new centre-back, you look at United, you look at Liverpool, you look at Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, where are these clubs that are lining up to pay for him? They're nowhere to be seen. There's no links anywhere apart from Atletico Madrid, and they've already gone out and bought Clement fucking Longley. So, what pecking order are we talking about here? I think this geezer needs to realise that this club isn't beneath him, that he's a Europa League winner through us, not because of him, but because of us, and that actually, there ain't that many people that are the bigger fish in the sea that are fishing for his fucking signature. I think that geezer needs a little bit of a wake-up call, because you know what? He's twerking for a move that isn't really coming. In order for a transfer to happen, three things to happen. The club needs to be willing to sell, there needs to be a buying club, and the player needs to go, or needs to want to go. He might want to go, but where are the buyers? They're not there, Jay.
So no, listen, Grape, it's a good point. I'm gonna rebuttal a little bit on that, because I feel, listen, we've all been there. Slightly emotional response, Sean. I understand it. You're a little bit hurt by his positioning and how he did it. I was the same. My head was on actual Pluto when I read it. I was like, how's the captain doing this? I would say we are unfortunately a little bit beholden here, because we're not in a position that we can afford to be giving Cuti Romero's away. The thing about Cuti, what he doesn't understand is potentially Frank will be better for him from a technical development point of view. Sometimes you can't see the thing in front of you when it's right in front of your face. Romero is the player that he's always been. Yeah, maybe he's improved his leadership under Ange. I think his coaching level, the performance that Romero put in at the beginning of I'm a big Romero fan, and I was big on defending Romero and saying how good a player he is. I do believe his performances at the beginning of the season, whether you want to put it down to him being tired, slightly injured, whatever, is a key reason why we didn't pick up the points we needed to pick up at the beginning of the season. You know, you can argue, did he make a mistake against Newcastle when we lost? Did he make a mistake against Leicester when we drew? There's little mistakes that he made that materially caused the 100%. Team to not be where it needed to be. That doesn't turn around and take to me, he's still not an excellent defender. But I think that the way that Ange wanted us to set up put a level of, I want to say, because of his build-up and style and how he plays the ball, it almost put an emphasis on him to a level that we won't see that emphasis on him again. That level of emphasis that we needed Romero because of
it made Van de Ven be the shining light, right? Like
exactly. You're going to see these two players under a different light this season, because we're not going to be making Van de Ven do emergency suicide runs until his hamstring gives out. 100%. We're not going to need Romero to play out solely being our sole ball player, and without him, we have no cognitive way of playing. That's not going to exist this season. So I can understand why he believes, you know, he is a World Cup winner. He's a big player for Argentina. He's the next captain. I get it from both sides, but I'm not giving Romero away.
He doesn't show the loyalty to our club like he does to his country. And that's not a thing that I necessarily hold against him, because I think a lot of South American players have that priority, right? Country before club. I get it. And for what it's worth, on that note about like the style, you know, styles suit fights, that sort of thing. Styles make fights, whatever you want to call it in boxing. I've got question marks around whether or not we're all going to be thinking that Van de Ven is the world-class player that we think he is now.
No. I remember I've seen him a couple of like Van de Ven's a good defender. He's a good player. He's good.
He's not great in the air.
That's what I'm saying. But like
his positional sense for crosses is fucking horrific at times. He leaves gates wide open that a bus could be driven through. Like he needs to up his game for a lower lying block.
Yeah, but on the flip side, you can also then Sean also say, okay, how I've always said about our team last season, they don't fear conceding goals, and it always scared me. It's like, where is your fear? Where is your desire to keep a clean sheet? And we saw it at times in the Europa League and stuff, but it's almost like the drilling of your defender, the quality around the defender. You want to see the level that they can get to, that they can adhere to, that they can consistently be. I think our defense was not well drilled last season. Our out of possession was not well drilled last season. It's one of the biggest reasons why I was happy or open to Ange being replaced, because the consistency of what you're asking your team to do comes from repetition. And we clearly don't spend enough time drilling the players from a defensive off the ball point of view. And if you don't have the best creative players, it's going to be very difficult to from an off the ball point of view, the players knowing where to be, overcommitting an attack, inverting too early, yada yada. You should see a better quality logic from the team with regards to defending. Now, whether or not that lowers the dependency on Romero's passing, lowers the dependency on playing a super high line and Van de Ven, we're going to hopefully see benefits to other aspects of their skill set. You know what I mean? We're going to see Van de Ven's technical defending improve because he's being drilled and coached on a more daily basis around it. So
I hear you,
I hear what you're saying. We're gonna drop the emphasis on his speed, but hopefully some of the other things that we saw flaws with, he's still only a baby.
100%.
Plenty of time for him to develop.
I'm not in any way saying that he's gonna be exposed or anything like that. I think the guy's got all of the gumption, all of the mindset. He's got all of the ability to become a more well-rounded defender. I'm just saying that right now, Tottenham fans look at Micky van de Ven as a sensation and a superstar because he has that get out of jail free card in his speed, and the system suited it. And Romero, as the counterpoint, was probably exposed a little bit by that same system because he doesn't have those same athleticism type traits that Micky van de Ven does. In a deeper lying system, is Micky van de Ven, well, he's not going to be able to rely on the things that make everyone think he's world class. He's going to have to develop his game. Is all I'm saying. And I think he will. I think he can. I think he's class.
But look at the goal we scored against United.
Yeah, it's class. Yeah, class.
As in like the way. Like, how often did you see Van de Ven do that?
I saw him take players on, like obviously not to that output, not that.
Yeah,
outcome.
but how many? Yeah, but if you had seen that player was capable of doing that,
many
how
times.
Many times did he do it? Yeah. I wouldn't say if you'd done that, I think the ability to do that again is based on the defensive structure. You're basically saying, if I run down the pitch, who's going to step into my position and who's going to make sure we don't concede? I think the lack of him doing that to the extent that one might consider him should have doing that is down to the structure. It's down to if you go, who's covering me? Same way Bissouma in the 6. His number one attribute is what? Dribbling. Yeah. It's similar to Rice. If you dribble as a sole 6, you are now out of position.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking away the key attribute of a player. So what I'm looking for is for Frank to establish what is the new normal for this guy. Duels. Like you say, in the air, needs to improve. But his ball carrying is excellent. How often are you ball carrying? And if you're going to ball carry, can the number 6 drop into position? Can we have a kind of a system flow where we now ask Van de Ven to use attributes he's good at to maximize it? Will we see Van de Ven playing at left back sometimes? Is that the alternative to buying another left back? lots of things I'm really interested in what Thomas Frank's going to do. You know, we have a lot of good quality players, but let's see what the new norm looks like for some of these players, considering it's a new system and a new profile.
What percentage of games? Because I think the answer to that question regarding the 6. I mean, first of all, we haven't got a 6. For me, Bissouma is the best version of a 6 that we have. Archie Gray isn't ready to play that role. He's not strong enough yet. And when Bentancur does it, the beneficiary of Bentancur taking that baton and running with it is Berghvall has the freedom to play the more advanced. But Bentancur is not good enough as a touch type in the rest defense sort of 6. He's got that tendency to be an 8, right, which is to seek out opportunities rather than quash the threats. Mm-hmm. But for me, you absolutely need a 6, 100%, non-negotiable this summer. What I am interested though in is if we do go to a back 3 at times, and assuming we haven't got a bias defender, assuming Romero stays, and then you have, say, Van der Ven, Romero and Danzo, for example. Romero is the best passing centre-back in the Premier League for my liking. I think he's absolutely sensational. And I think Micky Van der Ven isn't anywhere near as good as a passer. But like you say, the carrying out with the ball is phenomenal. But is he going to have more space or less space to do that if the line is dropped by 15 meters? That to me is the question.
We can't drop the line too much. I think the thing is we'll play a more rational line, but it's almost like you can't. To me, you don't want to go too far in the other way, because obviously the thing that Thomas Frank is like, it's one of the reasons I like Thomas Frank and stuff like that. My only concern about him that I haven't seen from a bigger club is it's one of the reasons I never wanted Tuchel, is that, you know, when you have a manager that's super adaptable, sometimes you can be too adaptable. Like, it's almost like, what is your style of play that you want to play, rather than constantly adapting to the opposition? My only concern about him. So I'm really intrigued to see what is his default A plan and style that he wants the players to play. You know, and I think that without seeing any preseason or this or that, it's very difficult to assume how he wants us to set up or what we're going to do or how the players are going to be maximized or minimized. So I guess, hey, listen, we still got a bit of time before season starts, so we're just going to have to fill the void with noise and speculation, which
That's what
is,
we do, mate.
Twice
a day on this channel. I make shit up as I go along.
Don't worry, I saw the email. But the point, that's the point, is that, like, I like the idea of what Frank can do with these players, but he also has to have his own prescribed style of what he wants to do. And I think you know, the only issue is a little bit, you know, when you're playing in preseason against such strong teams, really quickly we're gonna have to find out, you know, I hope he doesn't go too adaptable. You know, like, I hope he tries to play his style of play and isn't worried about getting battered a couple of times in preseason while he wants to work some stuff out. So lots of moving parts, but cautiously optimistic he's going to put it together. And, you know, let's see how it looks. You know, if we can drop the line maybe 5-10 yards, maybe 5 yards, have it fluid during the game, have players being very adaptive in certain situations. You know, it's just about building game state into the players, giving them. It's almost like you know, you're going to play golf. Like, which golf club do you need to play each particular shot? You want to give the players the veritable IQ to be able to understand what to do in certain circumstances and how to have an adaptive game state, but we still want to have our own style of what is plan A on a day-by-day basis. So looking forward to it, but there's no right or wrong answer for Tommy at the moment. He just needs to try and put his own slant on things to start off with. Right?
I imagine that with this team, the fact that we're going to be, you'd hope, the favourite in at least 60% of the games, at least at home, so 70% of the games at home, that he'll have like a 4-2-3-1 as his base and his foundation. A back 3 system is I'm more than okay with it in certain scenarios, and I think we have a squad that suits it from the back end. But then we have these players at the top end of the pitch, which is where I kind of want to finish up. Man, I'm not sure what's happened to Johnny. I think he's disappeared, but
he's gone to defend Solomon on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm joking, Johnny. I'm joking. If you watch this, like, I'm sorry.
Are you part of the? Well, you know, let me just rephrase it. if you had £200 million to spend as a budget right now, right? And let's say that budget had come from selling Sonny, selling Bissouma, selling Solomon, and one or two fringe players like Alejo Veliz, whatever. Then you had 210 million, something like that to spend. How do you spend it? Do you drop it into 3 players? Is it 2 wingers, or like a creative player, an out-and-out winger, and a 6? Is it a centre-back that can double up on the left at a fullback role or whatever that can, because we've only got 3 fullbacks? How do you kind of like spend 210 million quid?
It's actually harder than people think. Like when you think about it straight away, it's like straight away you think to yourself, I need to do X and Y, and then you're like, hold on. So first of all, you look at the squad. If you look at the defense, right? So obviously you look at our standard back 4, and then you've got Danzo, you've got Dragusin, who's injured, but he'll be back eventually. Vuskovic is coming in. Ashley Phillips needs to get the rule run over him. So already that's a lot of centre backs before you've even thought about buying one. You've got 2 right backs in Spence and Porro. You've got 1 left back. So the idea there is, but you also got Ben Davies, who's been renewed. So now it's like, even if you want a defender, where is the space?
There's no space. No space.
So I personally, in that instance, is a left centre back, left back is really the only thing you can do there.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's like you have to, like, that's the profile you should buy. And if you don't buy that specific profile, you're just creating other issues for yourself, because there's just too many players there. So a left back who can play left centre back is one position.
Like a Hato from Ajax or something, yeah?
Perfect. Do you know what I mean? That's the exact profile. Do you know what I mean? And that solves that, and that's what you're doing. So you're
good then, aren't you? Then you're just absolutely good.
That's it. Then you sorted. Just leave it. You can't do anything in defense. So a Hato is the ideal profile really to join the defense. Then a number 6. So it's at a point now where you're just like, okay, I've seen the team play. I've seen like, we've seen it for a number of years. It's like when we bought Maddison. It's just buy the 6. We don't need to go through preseason to see. Just buy the 6.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying this for the last fucking 3 years, mate. It's like, I don't care who the next manager is. Like, it's a 6 is non-negotiable. I don't care whether the guy plays back fucking 7 or fucking 3 at the back, 2 at the back. I don't care. We need a 6. You need a 6 for certain scenarios. If you're playing a 3 at the back, maybe not every time you don't need the 6 because the centre back can come out and cover. But if you're going to do a 4 at the back, not having a 6, a classy, cultured 6 is unforgivable right now for me.
So the 6 is now we get into the attack. This is tricky because I think, like, I look at Damsgaard, yeah, and I look at Maddison, and Maddison is better than Damsgaard, yeah, like, no doubt. But the one thing Damsgaard has is, like, he plays like a young Maddison to an extent, like the movement, so it's like we got Kulu, we got Maddison, but I'm like, are either of these guys going to be fit to the start of the season? And if they're not, we have no creative outlet. We have no creative 10. But on the other hand, can you afford to bring in a 10, a winger, and a striker? Maybe if Son and Richarlison go, you can definitely bring in another striker. So I'm looking at a striker, a winger, and a number 10, and I'm saying 2 out of the 3.
Because someone like Eze could do both for the 10 and the winger thing, couldn't he?
Exactly. So, but the thing is if you look at like a Semenyo, yeah. So let's say you get Semenyo, and you get a DM, and you get a left centre back. That might be your lot.
Yeah.
And you get a promising number 10 who's not ready to be starting yet, because otherwise, I don't see how you can integrate 4 starting players. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of players to integrate. So 3 and a young player is fine with me. I would like it to, like, Xavi Simons doesn't move me like that. I've never really been. Xavi Simons is a bit
lightweight, isn't he? A bit lightweight.
He's a bit like a Ribery. Whenever I watch him, he's never good. But whenever I don't watch him, he's sensational. Do you know what I mean? So
I feel that.
Ribery is an outlandish example, because Ribery, to be fair, was pretty good sometimes. But and he was a top player. it's just for that 60, 70 million, you're getting to the point of, is Xavi Simons the best player you can buy for that kind of money? And he potentially is in terms of who's ready to go. Doesn't mean there's not people just behind him on the taxi rank that you could potentially get. I'm just not sure that's the best use. If it's Xavi Simons for 70 or Eze for 70, I'm taking Eze all day long. But I understand that from a age profile, from a ceiling point of view, the club likes to speculate on players now. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You know, I'm trying to be logical and not over promise, under deliver, so my expectations aren't too, blown away if the club doesn't do what I'm thinking. So to me, 3 first-team players, a left back, less centre back, a number 6, a winger. Those are the 3 that are definite. And then you may be getting one of a striker or a number 10, depending on how they see Dane Scarlett, depending on how they see what happens with Richarlison, what happens with Son, blah, blah, blah. So I'd be happy with that.
Who mentioned Douglas Luiz? Apologies, Sean. I had the typical wait 3 days for an important call, and they call you right in the middle of the stream.
No worries. Douglas Luiz was Jay didn't mention him. He was just someone mentioned him in the chat. I just brought him up.
I mean, sorry, in the comments, like a 6 is like, to me, is like a defensive midfielder. Whether or not you classify that as a destroyer, whether you just classify that as a playmaking 6 who can tackle, whether you classify that as a box-to-box person, it's very difficult because it's like it's just different courses for horses. I don't know what kind of 6 is the perfect 6 for Frank, but I guess most people want somebody who's a good tackler that has positional discipline that can pass the ball competently. I guess that would be
the thing. Like a lot of people are clamoring for Palhinha. Like I mentioned Palhinha a long time ago when we were under the Ange system, and I was like, in the Ange system, it's perfect, right? But in a Frank system, if you're gonna have a back 3, then unless you're gonna go to like a 3-5-2, then you don't really. There's not enough space in that team for a Palhinha, because Palhinha is dog shit at football. It's just brilliant at getting the ball back. You know.
Yeah.
Let me
But
take
the thing is, Johnny, I know you like Palhinha, but do you not think that he's been, to an extent, exposed in a company system?
Listen. I was a big fan of Palhinha, 100%.
Are you less of a fan after the season just gone, or not?
Yes, because of the age thing and the type of system that he's going to play. So for me, Douglas Luiz, I would rather have Douglas Luiz all day long. And I think Douglas Luiz is a player that we could potentially get out of Italy and back to the Premier League. And we saw how effective he was for Aston Villa. And I think that's the sort of player that Fabio would sign. What I was told early doors was Thomas Frank's non-negotiable was a 6. That for him, listen, as Spurs fans, I think a lot of the fan base have said, why haven't we got a 6? We need a 6. We need a 6. Even people who aren't football obsessed look at the team, with under Ange, more holes than a Swiss cheese. We needed a 6. And I think with Thomas Frank's overload on the flanks and his triangles on each of the flanks, you need that monster 6 to sit in the middle, to snuff out any counterattack and any play that transpires from that. And I think Douglas Luiz, when I look around, my son actually was giving me, I was saying to Sean, he kept listing me, I've got this number 6, I've got that number 6. But for me, for what I know right now that we could get out, I'm going Douglas Luiz, because I know he can cut the mustard in the Premier League to a very high level, as we saw in the monster season he had for Aston Villa.
Oh, you're on the phone, Jay, or you're on mute? Well, he's on the phone. I'm not sure he was on the phone or not.
No, I wasn't. I've just muted myself. So I was just saying, like, someone in the comments asked, who do I like? I like the Kamara player at Monaco. I saw him a few times. I think he's a good player. I like Stiller. I think he's a good player. I think sometimes when
Stiller's class.
yeah, but the thing is like the window to get Stiller is now. Like, as bigger clubs aren't interested in him, now's this like, because if he has another great season, he's done for us. But now we could get someone like I firmly believe we could get Stiller if we wanted him. I don't know how. I'd have to double check on the defensive aspect of it, whether or not it's super perfect. But and then alternatively, like a Hayden Hackney, if we wanted to try something a little bit alternative, good underlying numbers, decent player, young, potentially something like that. But there's loads of options, like a Douglas Luiz is a decent to good option. I think sometimes the thing is that if I ask Johnny, would you take Rashford? He might say no. But if I ask him, would you take Douglas Luiz? He might say yes. So everyone has personal biases as to when a player's done or when he's finished or when he's coming off bad form. And I'm not saying that any of the opinions are wrong. It's just different opinions. I like Douglas Luiz. Does the fact he's had a mediocre season at Juventus cause me to like him less? Not really. But would I then think, is he the best option? I'm like, am I settling, or am I a reacher, or am I a settler?
Let me ask this question. You just mentioned some interesting names there, right? So, Grealish, Rashford, Garnacho. No dickheads policy. I'm not saying Grealish is a dickhead, by the way.
Are they dickheads?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying like there's like rumors abound that Rashford's a bit of a troublemaker.
Hang on. Sean, all we got to do is let's play the clip of him coming out of the baseball game in the Louis Vuitton jumpsuit, white jumpsuit, thinking he was like, I mean, come on. He looked that's just fashion, Johnny. Listen, he's fashion.
I've seen your Montclair jacket.
Listen, I know, but listen. No, listen, like it's fashion. It's fashion, right? And I appreciate that. But for me, when I look at that, I say, hang on, guy, right? You're a footballer. Mm-hmm. You're a footballer. Sort yourself out. Just the same as when Jed Spence is indoors doing an interview with Rio Ferdinand. Take the fucking glasses off, man. Take the sunglasses off. You're inside with Rio Ferdinand having an interview, right? Take them off. It's bullshit, right? I was going to say the one player that I wanted before we signed Archie Gray was Adam Walton at Blackburn in that November before he signed in the January for Dougie Freeman, nipped in and paid, just over £20 million, probably 25 with the add-ons for Adam Walton. I said then he's got a great signing. I never thought he would go that end of that season and end up in the England squad, but I always believed that he was a fantastic six. And when I see him, he's had a lot of injuries, but in that FA Cup run, for example, and the latter part of the season when he came back, winning the ball, delivering that ball, delivering that ball straight away to Ismail Sarr or to Eze or to Mateta. That's what you want. No nonsense, reads the game fantastically and delivers crisp passing, no messing around, no dallying on the ball. And that's what I like. But now to get him out, dealing with Steve Parish, forget it. You're going to be paying stupid money, 70 million, 65, 70 million for him. And they won't let him go.
See, I think the thing is like, obviously I don't. I do think me and Johnny agree with a lot of players. Like a lot of players we agree with in terms of our perception of the players. I think the biggest thing for me is there's so many players in football. That's what fans they underestimate. Like you're only entitled to have 25 players in your squad. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like, in as much as we could sign all of these players, it's like you need that quality level, and we are a team that's the Europa League champions. So with all of that being said, some of these players are champions. And I think the logic to me should be we shouldn't run away from our success this summer. And we should be like, we are Europa League champions. You are joining champions. Do you know what I mean? And the players we sign should be in line with that. So that's why when you say about the Solomon thing, I get people wanting to aim higher. They want people to be more. And I think we should take that approach with the players. I would rather have players that are upward trajectory purely than players that are have missed a step, because we're not going to be in this position. We're not going to be in this position to be. He's a good player, you know. He's like, he's got. I'm not sure what his stats were particularly this season, but when I was watching him, he's on that upward trajectory where you want to be getting players like one more season. It's like Brennan when we got him.
Are you talking about this Armand?
Yeah.
Right,
I know.
Can I ask you a question, Sean?
Yeah.
Ren, I think, are selling more players than Bournemouth.
We spoke about this team earlier, didn't we, mate?
Yeah, I think there's 3 going to Bayer Leverkusen. They've got the guy that they just signed, left centre back, going to Bournemouth to replace Kirkes, and now they've got this guy. Now they've got this guy.
Let's have a look at him. To be honest, I'll be entirely honest here. I don't know anything about this guy at all.
I know he had a breakout season last season. I think he's got like 15, 16 goals or something like that. Something decent, like as in like a noticeably good amount of goals. Like I don't know too much about like style of play and stuff like that, but he's one of these handfuls. And I don't want to be like racially general. Like, you know, when you start describing black players, and I'm about to start using words like pace and this and that, I'm like, nah, let me just shut up and just like be like, okay, I'll do some more insight and I'll come back.
He's a monster.
I'll just start talking about, he's pacey, he's this, he's that, and people will be like,
yeah, he's a physical specimen. He's strong.
Like, what the fuck? Come on, Jay, give us some insight. Just don't throw So let me go away and look at him. But yeah, he's
it's basically it's like the bingo catchwords of content creators who have never heard of someone who know he's done okay and think, I'll just get away with talking some bollocks. He's fast, he's tall, he's strong, he's good in the air, two-footed.
He's there, he's every fucking way.
Exactly.
No, I'll be honest, I don't know anything about him, but here are his FB refs stats. So he's in the top 80th percentile in the top compared to the top 5 leagues for goals. I got no idea what he's like as a player, but I'll be entirely honest. His stats look decent.
His stats look good, and he's got like, if I look at him, if I just quickly go and look at his stats, 17 goals. So basically, he went from 7 goals to 10 goals to 17 goals. He's under the radar a little bit. 17 goals in Liga is impressive for Rennes. You know, obviously, I'll have to look at. He's 5'9".
23 years old.
He's 5'9", which is quite small, really.
Yeah, he's a small guy. I asked a question. There you go. I asked a question. This is the extent of my research.
Yeah, I love that.
What sort of player is Arno Kalimuendo?
Hold on. But the thing is like, if you look at him, he can also play right wing, left wing.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's known for his goal scoring ability. He's played as right winger, left winger, and a second striker. So this is playing on the wings.
So you'd think this is the Richarlison or Son replacement in theory.
5'9" though.
Yeah,
it's not going to help with our crossing. Okay. Our crossing stats are going to go through for Brentford, and you got him trying to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, but the thing of Johnny, in terms of like Frank, the thing is like, you remember like when this is the one thing that like we won't have with Frank versus Ange is like the profiling will be better. So if you have a 5'9" forward, we're gonna play to the 5'9" forward strengths. Do you know what I mean? As in, hence why he was able to profile Tony and Mbeumo and Visa and Berama and Watkins, and
it's just 5'9". He's not very tall for his height, is he? At 5'9".
No. I mean, like, obviously 5'9" is. I'm 5'10". Do you know what I mean? So listen, I'm not out here flexing my 1 inch over somebody. Do you know what I mean? But for a professional footballer,
it matters, mate. It matters in life.
People check less than an inch.
Hey, what can I say? You can do plenty with an inch.
Listen, Kevin Jackson. Just to reply to Kevin Jackson. Johnny needs to think about the sunglasses thing.
Yeah, Johnny. It's giving him
quite often he comes onto YouTube wearing sunglasses. Kettle and pot comes to mind. So let me explain myself. I'm not in a studio, a darkened studio. I'm sat in front right now. I'm sat right in front of a window where the sun shines in right in my eyes and I can't see the screen. Slightly different. If I was in a dark studio in a basement, I would not be wearing sunglasses. And second of all, when he came to the Europa League game at night, he sat on the bench in his sunglasses. Okay, so just saying.
Johnny, mate, just stop being a fucking pot, mate. Stop being a pot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah?
Right, okay, hang on. You can't beat them.
Oh, there we go. That's what I'm saying, like stars in the rise. But listen, my thing here is that I think that we all have like narratives, and it's funny because obviously like narratives are this, maybe they're just the same as opinions. I guess it depends on how you express them. Do you know what I mean? Like where's the line on it? So with this player, I think that like if we're looking, this is the kind of signing you want the club to be making. Do you know what I mean? Smart players who are ready to go, just under the level of superstar that we can get, and they can add value. So, how
much is this guy going to cost? He's valued at 22 million euros, according to Stad.
I'd say probably about 40 mil, maybe 35, 40.
So is he going to be, if there's truth to it, and it's a weird one, and it's a very unique one, but if there's truth to it, and it's, by the way, it's not coming from Spurs Express, it's coming from Tanziloik or whatever, who's a journalist for L'Equipe. If there's truth to this geezer coming to Tottenham, does he come in to replace Richarlison then?
Yeah.
Or is he going to come and just join the crew?
I'd say that was about right.
He could be Richarlison. Who knows? Listen, we know Everton like him, but have they got the money? And swap Richarlison for Braithwaite and cash. There's a deal. There's a deal.
I mean, like, how much cash do you think you'd have to put on top of that?
50 million plus Richarlison.
I beg your pardon. In this economic climate, I beg your pardon.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
They're saying Brentford.
Oh, Sean, at least Dick Turpin wore a mask. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the hell, bro?
Hey? Fucking rob me while I'm sleeping.
Hang on a second. Richarlison is amortized down to about 10 million on the books. He's 25 million pound out of push. He's fucking rubbish.
25 out of push.
What do you think he's worth?
Oh, mate, listen. I mean,
before you even answer, I'm going to tell you right now, Jay, you are part of the problem.
10 million pounds, Sean. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
10 million.
Right.
No, I'm saying he's worth 25 million quid.
Mate, I can't be putting more than 40 million on top of that. 40 million is the maximum.
That's what I'm saying. It's fine. So 65 million quid. Fine.
Yeah, Richie was bro, because that's
Richie
valuing,
30 million.
valuing Richie at 40 million. That's an 80 million pound transfer deal we're doing.
Richie is not worth 40 million quid.
Yeah, he is for the purpose of this equation, Sean.
Okay, fair enough.
60 million for the purpose of this equation.
Fair enough.
That's a £100 million deal we're giving Everton.
Listen. There's all this stuff that we don't want to get Eze. He's 27 years of age, right? I mean, I'm sorry. He's 27. He's not 31.
How old is he? He's fucking rubbish.
Who?
He's rubbish.
Eze, I'm talking about, mate.
Oh, sorry. I think about Richarlison. Sorry.
Okay.
Eze's all right. Eze's fine.
Yeah. He's not even sure about him, Jay. He's not even sure about him.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Sean's default is fuck Richarlison. Sorry, you can edit that out. But listen, it makes sense what you're saying. But the point is that essentially Richie was barely available. This is the point. We're replacing somebody that wasn't available that much. I like Richie. His biggest issue is injuries. I think we can make the argument.
No. His biggest issue is he can't trap a fucking ball.
No. Sean, think about it.
He can't trap a ball.
No, Sean, think about it. Be fair. Since let's say about January last season, when Richarlison had that surgery and then started getting other injuries, kind of like a quilt that's too small for your whole body, but doesn't matter. Since that moment, right, his effectiveness has been high level. The only thing I would actually say is since Richarlison has started becoming a relatively top level forward, that's when his body imploded on him. That's the biggest issue. Go and look at his goals.
Hey, he can't trap a bag of cement.
No,
mate.
bro,
His first touch is fucking horrendous.
Go watch the World Cup, mate. Go and watch the World Cup.
Sean,
4 years ago. 3 years ago.
You said he can't trap a ball, mate.
He can't.
Listen, Sean, I'm going to say to you, If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to live its whole life thinking it's stupid. If you judge Richie, if you judge Richie, by your preconceived notions of what a number 9 should be,
they're not preconceived. No,
they are preconceived.
No. Jay, wait. It's a lovely analogy. It's a beautiful analogy. It's something that I will steal. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to steal, and I will use that where it's relevant and pertinent, and actually something that actually makes sense. It makes no sense here because it doesn't matter whether you are a defender. I'm going to wait until Jay gets back on the screen.
Sean's
I'll wait till he puts his name back on. He needs to hear this.
Okay.
Well,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether he is a striker or a defender or anyone else in the fucking team. You need to be able to have a first touch, of which Richarlison.
How's that here saying Richarlison scoring golazos at the World Cup? I'm just saying, maybe.
Overhead kick that there was no one within 5 feet of him.
Sean, mate. Okay, Sean, I'd stop there, mate. I'd stop there. He didn't just do one. Two great goals in the World Cup.
Somebody comments supporting Richarlison. He picks the one that says
Richarlison.
I
picked them all up. I picked them all out.
No, he's not.
I picked them all up. I pick all the comments up.
Thank you.
The Richarlison slander is lazy. It's not crazy. The guy can't trap a bag of cement. He's the world's worst first touch footballer in the Premier League.
World's worst.
In the Premier League, there's not another Premier League striker that has a worse first touch than him.
Let me tell you, guys in the stream, unfortunately, Sean has had a little bit of a fever. I'm not sure what's happened. But
what are you talking about? Justify, debate the argument. Debate the argument.
Mate,
debate the argument.
Listen, the best ability is availability. He hasn't been available. Let me finish. He hasn't been available. I'm never going to argue with that, right? He has not delivered enough as a Spurs fan. Guaranteed, right? As a Spurs player.
Thank
you. Because
you agree with me?
And the lights, right?
Do you agree with me?
No. But to say he can't play football,
gentlemen, I'm being thrown out of my building, gentlemen. So
cheers, Joe. I appreciate you, mate. You've been awesome, buddy.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me. Hopefully, I'll be back, people.
Buddy.
Love you, man.
Much, guys. Take it easy.
See you later. No, I'm not having that, Sean. You know, I can understand people not rating him.
Debate the argument.
Honestly, I'm just telling you, right? To say all your argument is he's absolute shit. And
I'm saying he can't touch a bag. He can't trap a bag of cement. What he's very good at is convincing under Ange Postecoglou for the entire team to have to play to his strengths by whipping the ball in 100 times, and eventually he gets his head on it. He gets his noggin on it. But with Solanke, because of his value of being able to actually play football, he's asked to do things that Richarlison isn't.
Do you actually think
Solanke is a victim of his build-up play? Richarlison is a benefactor of his lacking ability to do anything other than put the head on the ball. He's fucking shit.
Dog shit, rubbish, absolute rubbish, Sean. Absolute fucking rubbish. I'm sorry, I can't agree. Listen, I'm not going to disagree. Hang on, let me finish. You've had to say, right, I'm not going to disagree with you that he hasn't delivered for Spurs on a regular basis because of the injuries. I can't. There's an undeniable fact. It's undeniable fact, right? But when he's there and when he's fit, he's a monster on the pitch, and the team is better for him being there. Right, you're going to tell me that he wasn't a crucial part of that victory against Man United,
mate. You've got a positivity bias because of your relationships.
No, I'm just saying. No, I don't. Because
yes, you do.
You cannot. What did I just say? You cannot make excuses.
So do you, Adam. So do you, mate. Because of your wife being Brazilian, you love this guy as well. There's so much positivity bias going towards him for various reasons here.
Hang on a second, Sean. You're listening, right? I'm saying. I'm not going to deny that he hasn't been available. He hasn't been available enough as a Spurs player. But when he is fit, he's trouble. It's funny, when he was fit and that run, he scored more goals than any other player any other striker in the Premier League in that 3-month run. He couldn't stop scoring, right? When he was fit.
What about has he ever scored more than 12 goals in his Premier League tenure?
Is it everything about the goals, or is it about the play? You just said to me, hang on a minute, hang on. You said Dominic Solanke,
who didn't even score 10 goals.
You just made the
Dominic
argument.
Solanke, hang on, Dom Solanke, who you're raving about, has scored 9 Premier League goals, right? He's played
because Dom Solanke can play football and is asked to play a certain role. Richarlison can't. So when Richarlison's the only one that's fit, everything becomes about him. We cross balls in 100 times. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to leave this up to chance. I'm going to go and bring out the stats. Okay, not till I haven't got the time to do it right now. But by tomorrow's episode, guys, we're gonna get a clip of this, and then I'm going to bring it in, and then I'm going to show you the amount of crosses per 90 that Tottenham Hotspur participate in when Richarlison's on the pitch versus when Solanke's on the pitch. And I don't have a clue. I've never looked into it before, but if I'm wrong about this, then I'll do something weird, okay? But I am almost certain that there is a massively disproportionate amount of times that we smack the ball into Richarlison because that's all he can do. He can't use his feet.
You're talking absolute twaddle. I'm sorry. You're talking absolute twaddle. In my opinion, listen, that's what we love about football, right? I think you're talking shit. You think I'm talking shit, right? And that's what it's all about. Huh? That's what it's all about. And that's why you and I get on so well, because when it's all said and done, I'm deluded.
Okay, last poll.
Timo, it sounds like you could be deluded.
I'm putting a poll out. Last poll. Right. Who, hang on. Poll.
So wanky with his 9 goals and a penalty.
Who is right? Ari.
Hang on.
Micky,
hang on. Whose channel is this?
Hang on. Sean or Johnny and Jay. Because I'm going to give you the benefit of having Jay on your side on this one. Who is right? Bang. There's 800 people still here. I want to see 300 votes on this one right now in the next couple of minutes. Get voting, guys. Get voting. Oh, fuck. It's already going your way. No, we'll find out in a second. Wait. We're going to keep an eye on that one. Johnny, just... look at guys, vote for Johnny. Vote for Johnny and Jay. Look at you guys. Look. You're spiteful. You're spiteful. Mate, but listen, Johnny, let me ask you this, mate.
Go on.
I know you've got your positivity bias towards your boy Richie. I know you have your positivity bias towards your boy.
Can I just say one thing?
Please.
Regardless of what you think and I think about whatever player that we talk about, I think we can agree on one thing. If he comes out this season, Richie, and absolutely smashes it and scores a whole load of goals, right, I'll be delighted. The same way as any player that I don't particularly rate or I think is not great and has a fantastic season, I will applaud it, right?
Of course. And I'm happy to be mudded.
Yeah, listen, I did the same with Brennan Johnson. I don't think Brennan Johnson's a 90-minute player. Yet how can you argue with the fact of his goal contribution last season? So, you
can argue with his input contribution.
Yeah, you can. And you can say he's not a complete footballer because he doesn't contribute enough. So you could sit here.
Do you expect Richarlison to be sold this summer, though, Johnny?
I think he won't be sold unless we have an adequate replacement.
And is this guy Callum Muendo? I'll be honest, I don't know. I've never even heard his fucking name before, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've I've got no idea who he is, so I'm going to go and do my research.
I actually think Thomas Frank will like him.
Richie?
Yeah, you know why? Because he's aggressive and he will listen to his, to what he says. So listen, we shall see. Listen, we need 2 competitive strikers. Whatever happens, you cannot have one striker going 100%. Into the Champions League. And for me, I think Richarlison is more tailor-made to Champions League football and that foreign football and the shithousery that goes with it, playing the Italian teams, than a Solanke. And I'd rather see Solanke playing in the Premier League, leading the line in the Premier League, and Richarlison leading the line in the Champions League. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Fair enough. I would like to see Tottenham bring in a striker that relegates both of them to second choice.
Oh, right. Hello. Bring in Gyökeres. Happy days.
No, but realistically, we're not going to get Gyökeres.
No, but
you know what? If we have got this substantial budget, we're going to go full 360 here. If we do have this substantial budget, I don't know why it is that we can't just have a crack at someone like Ekitike or someone like Jonathan David? Like, why is it? What's stopping us? Why have we got this kind of like small man syndrome where we, always the bridesmaid, never the bride? I'd like to see Daniel Levy this summer surprise us. If Eze's fine, I'd love to get him. Obviously, would love to get him. Would love to get him Bumo. Fine, but I would love to be I'd love to be surprised. I would love it if suddenly, like, no disrespect to Brian Bumo because he's class, right? He's a class player. So is Eze. But like when you hear Liverpool are fighting it out with Chelsea and Arsenal for Gyökeres or Ekitike or those sorts of caliber, I would just love it just once if Tottenham was seriously going after one of these players. Even if we reached for the stars and failed, we're never in that conversation, Johnny.
Never say never. Who knows? Maybe we'll wake up and go, did I just see what I just saw? Right. Listen, guys, if you're in the room, okay, right now, please do us a favor and hit the pinned Football Inc. Just hit the pinned. Is it pinned at the top there, Sean?
Yeah. If you're watching this, if you're not watching it on TV, if you're on your phone or if you're on your computer or whatever else, if you're on the TV, it's going to be difficult. But if you're not, then at the top in the comment section, there's a pinned link. Just click on the pinned thing. Football Inc. is there. Just hit that link. It will open up a new tab on your phone or your computer or whatever. Just smash the subscribe button. We do every day around 3:00. Johnny and I do an hour, and it's a fun conversation. We talk about all sorts of things. We like to thought experiment, and the channel's growing really nicely. So I really appreciate it if you can show us some love. We just got over 2K. Whilst you're at it, guys, the light game today has been pretty poor, if I'm entirely honest, on this show. So I'd love to get it up to 400, 500 if possible. Got a couple of super chats, and I'm going to dial back into the Richie poll quickly. A user, I'm sorry, mate. This was a while back, wasn't it? An hour and a half ago, mate. I didn't see it. We're going to get a few more wingers to wing it. 100%, mate. Chicken wingers, buddy. So we've got loads of them coming in. Joshua, member for 2 months. Thanks, Josh. Big up, legends. I'd happily trade Maignan for Vicario. Well, Mike Magnan's not leaving. He wanted to go to Chelsea, but Milan refusing to budge. So if he's not, and he wants to go to Chelsea, but that's not going to happen. The Vicario story is really interesting. I'm not sure what that's about, but thank you for the super chat.
Could have got Flecken. What a great keeper he is. Could have got him.
I'm really surprised that
Tottenham. Kelleher that Brent got. What a keeper that was to replace him.
Being caught up in a goalkeeper story now is the last thing I thought we were going to be going into. But fair enough. Painter Kev has become a new member. Appreciate you, Painter Kev. Can you paint Kev? If you live near me, mate, let me know because I need a painter in my house. Needs to be covered up, and I'm not that sort of guy to do that. But if you can, let me know if you live near me. Thank you very much for the membership, mate. Appreciate you. Looking forward to getting to know you. Voxaholic says, if he did stay, what are your thoughts on Romero as a 6? I'll be honest, this question's been sort of floated for a long time, mate. I think he's got the capability to do it, but I don't think I don't think he'd really be interested in sort of repositioning himself because he's got more competition in Argentina in that spot, and he's just known as a centre back. So, like, it's very rare that you see a player that plays one role for your club and another role for your country. So, I doubt it would happen, but I think he could do it. But I just don't think it will happen. But thank you, mate. And a user again says Richie spends. Last one, mate. Sorry. Richie spends too much time lying on the floor.
James Maddison. James Maddison is constantly on the floor, more than any other player in the Premier League, I think. What was I going to say to you? Vicario.
The poll is so far 6 minutes ago, 170 odd votes. Who's right regarding Richie, Sean, or Johnny and Jay? 56% says I'm right. 44% says you are.
Oh well, there you go. I've got
the bias.
It's not a
landslide. So fair enough.
Landslide. What was I going to say to you about Vicario? I don't think how he likes to be dominant in corners and set pieces defensively. I think that Vicario's weakness at defending those could be an issue for Thomas Frank.
Yeah. Mate, I can't, you know what, mate? It's this part of the summer that pisses. It's the worst part, right? It's like that. You've got the early stage of the window when everyone's like, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" Nothing ever happens. Why isn't anything happening? And then once you get into like July the 1st, you're just around the corner from the preseason friendlies. You're getting into the nitty gritty. Like I cannot wait to see Thomas Frank. I think the first game is Luton Town away. just before they go away on the, I think it's Kenilworth Road. We're playing Luton Town. I think it's July the 12th or something, if I'm not mistaken, mate. Is that right? July the 12th or July the 10th? Luton Town. That's the first pre-season friendly. Luton, then Bayern, then Arsenal, then Newcastle in whatever particular order.
Is it July the 12th? I don't think it's July the 12th, is it?
It might be earlier than that. It might be early. It's July the something.
Yeah, I think it's the end of July. I think it's like the 23rd of July. I think it's the end of July.
No, it's the first. Oh, is it? Hang on. July. Luton versus Tottenham. Let's have a look.
It's like the 31st or the 26th.
Oh, 26th. You're right. Yeah, spot on. 26th of July. Yeah.
Stick with me for proper Spurs news. Sean is working his way into the game.
That's what we do here, people. We make shit up. We make shit up.
Yeah,
I'm
look,
not making up, though. Is that Richarlison is surplus to requirements. Oh, here you go. Look at this shirt. Look at the shirt.
Look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. A thing of beauty.
It's 33% real. It's the James Maddison of football shirts. 33%
shirts. This is the James Maddison shirt. Yeah, look at that. Yeah,
love it, mate. As soon as this show finishes, Johnny, you're gonna walk me through DHgate because I don't entirely understand it. But guys, we're gonna leave it there. 800 people still here. Please smash the granny out of the like button as your way out. We're going to be looking at tomorrow morning Calamuendo and whatever's happening with other stories. Just a quick final gander at the votes. There's 200 votes. 57% Sean is right. 43% Johnny and Jay are right.
Can I just say it's quite funny. So I thought I had my door closed, right? I've got a sliding door. So I've been shouting, no, about Richarlison. We've all been arguing, right? My missus is downstairs. I thought the door was open. She asked me why I'm arguing with my son about football. No, I'm arguing with Sean.
Oh, you're Sean? I feel like I am a little bit. I'm the prodigal son, mate. One day I'm going to come home to your house and
well, you're always welcome.
Up in the spare bedroom, you know.
You're always welcome. And listen, guys, I'm sorry to be a nag, but get over to Football Inc. and hit that subscribe button. As I say, every day we've got transfer news. We're going to have loads of stuff going on, loads of fun stuff going on with Sean and I throughout the whole of next summer. We're going to have score predictions and stuff, us versus the viewers. So
even if you are too lazy to go up into the comments and untab it, it's right there. It's right there.
Click, click,
click, and click. That's all you got to do. And if you are interested in total football, then that's what we talk about. It's a really fun hour every day about 3:00, and the channel's doing really well. So I really appreciate you guys. Well, saying massive thank you to everyone that's joined, all the super chats. And a massive thank you to you, Johnny, and to Jay, who was spectacular. Jay comes on the show like once every few months, but I've been
streaming with Jay or on Spaces for a long time. So
yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
great guy. We're going to continue the debate. Let me know in the comment section after the show if you rate Richarlison. And also, for the love of God, please someone tell me how it is that we're supposed to be bringing in 2 more wingers when we still have fucking 11 of them around the club. Too many. But guys, we'll leave it there.
More wingers than chicken.
More wingers than chicken.
Chick King. Sorry.
Oh, Chick King. Chick King. That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. All right, guys, leave it there. You might see something else from me later on tonight, but if not, I'll see you tomorrow morning with Bugsy Malone. And you also see us later on tomorrow afternoon, 3:00, as always, on Football Inc. Please do get over there and hit the sub over there. Thanks again, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.